Welcome back to the Daughter Arise channel. My name is Yvonne and this channel is all about bringing you news and content surrounding childhood sexual abuse. So I just wanted to hop on here quickly because I came across a story which is talking about the Michael Jackson documentary that is coming up called Leaving Neverland. It's going to be airing in the US tonight, and over here in the UK it will be airing on Wednesday and Thursday this week. My plan is to watch both parts of the documentary and then do a review on it. But already it's causing such controversy and such a stir, and people are really out for Wade Robson because, if you don't know, he did testify back in 2005 that he never molested him, but as he's now come forward to talk about what has happened to him. And this documentary is about the accounts of both him and James Safechuck, who allegedly claimed they were sexually abused by Michael Jackson. So I'm going to read the article to you and just share my thoughts on it. Men who have accused Michael Jackson of sexually abusing him as a child told Oprah Winfrey he had no understanding of the situation as a child and that he loved the pop star. Wade Robson is, along with James Safechuck, one of two subjects of the documentary Leaving Neverland, airing this month. Jackson's relatives have denounced the documentary and denounced the accuser's claims. Oprah has taped an interview with both Robson and Safechuck, as well as director Dan Reed, which will broadcast in the US immediately after the documentary wraps on the 4th of March. A preview of the interview sees Winfrey asking Robson and Safechuck, if you are abused, why would you continue to want to be around that person? She also said this was hard for people to understand that have not been through this kind of trauma. Robson said, I had no understanding of being abused. I loved Michael, and all the times I testified and the many times that I gushed over him publicly in the interviews, over wherever it may be, that was from a real place, while never forgetting any of the sexual details that happened between us, but having no understanding that it was abuse, and having no concept in my mind that anything Michael could do could ever be bad. Anything that Michael did was right to me for so many years. Robson testified during Jackson's 2005 criminal trial related to a different case, saying at the time the singer had not molested him. He and Safechuck filed civil complaints in 2013 and 2014 respectively, which are currently on appeal. Winfrey explains in another preview clip from the documentary that she views as an opportunity to discuss societal corruption. For me, this moment transcends Michael Jackson. It is more than any one person. This is a moment in time that allows us to see this societal corruption. It's like a scourge on humanity, and it's happening right now. So there were a couple points I picked up from this story that I want to just highlight for people who may not understand how sexual abuse affects somebody. So it is possible for a survivor to go through sexual abuse and have no understanding of what has happened to them. This is 100% facts. I am myself somebody that was sexually abused by my dad from the age of 9 to 13 years old. I only knew on the first time when my dad sexually abused me that something was very wrong, but I had no vocabulary or no understanding to know what was actually wrong. The only thing I could see in my little mind was that the man who I was looking at was somebody who I dearly loved, who was my father, but he was doing something terribly wrong to me, and it felt terribly wrong. It is a fact that a child can go through sexual abuse and not know what is happened to them. It is also a fact that many survivors, and I know this because I've worked with them for over 8 years, can go through sexual abuse, go through their life, dealing with all the dysfunction and aftermath that it's left in their life, and still not know what has happened to them was sexual abuse. Yes, they have an understanding that this person, whether it's a father, a mother, a family friend, an associate, a religious person, has done something to them that was wrong, but not have the vocabulary, the education or the knowledge to know that it is sexual abuse. This is very possible, and this is why I wrote my book Choose Life, because there are many people out there that don't even know what happened to them as a child was sexual abuse. They only have the feeling that something that happened to them was very wrong. It's something that has affected their life, but they've had no kind of information or understanding in their adult years to even know how to even deal with it. It is also possible for somebody who's gone through sexual abuse at the hands of somebody they know, love or trust, because statistics back this, that 90% of childhood sexual abuse is committed by someone the child knows, loves or trusts, to actually love the perpetrator of their abuse. You can love that person but hate their actions, and it's something I talk about in my TEDx talk, how we can empower survivors. I will leave the link in the description bar below. It is possible to love the person who has sexually abused you but hate what they've done to you, or be confused about what they've done to you. It is one of the reasons why many survivors in later years have conflicting feelings about speaking out, because in other areas of their life, this person who has perpetrated abuse against them was caring, was loving, may have played with them, may have provided for their needs in other ways, but then on the other hand has molested them and done things to them of a sexually abusive nature. That's what causes the feelings of confliction, and it's totally possible that Wade Robson has felt these feelings too, because what he's describing is the feelings of somebody that has also experienced sexual abuse. Another thing in the aftermath that many survivors get, as posed in the question by Oprah, where she says that if he did this to you, why would you still want to be around him? This is a question that many survivors do get in the aftermath when they decide to speak up many, many years later. He said that he didn't have an understanding of what sexual abuse was. And you know, her answer to this, because Oprah herself is somebody that was sexually abused as a child. I don't know if you know this. So she says it is hard for people that have not experienced this kind of trauma to understand, and that is so true. The reasons for a survivor speaking out or choosing to speak out later in life could be for a number of different reasons. It could be that they feel safe enough to speak out because the person has passed away. They've got help and encouragement or support to speak out. Maybe they've seen other people who the person had abused in childhood and now felt it was okay for them to come forward and share their story. This can't be used as an excuse to completely close down or deny something that's happened to a victim of sexual abuse. I've seen it happen too many times in newspapers when cases were coming up with loads of people from the 80s who were famous DJs, people like Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, all these different people. Even with R. Kelly, we've seen it again recently. Why are you waiting for now to speak out? There are many different reasons that are personal to the victim that has gone through sexual abuse. And I think rather than shutting down that person in the moment and completely disqualifying their voice because they spoke out at a later time, I think it is important to let everybody have their say, let their voice be heard. It is very difficult for somebody to do that, and I think that they're very brave. A lot of people are upset because he has now waited until this time to speak out. He said that he did lie. It is also very normal for survivors or victims of sexual abuse to recant their stories because of family pressure or other pressures because of the person who is involved. Paedophiles are very, very good at manipulating their victim. Now, in any circumstance, speaking out against a perpetrator of abuse is hard. It is really, really hard because more often than not, it is the victim that is treated like the perpetrator of their own abuse. In family circles and in religious circles, that is why so many paedophiles are able to get away with it. They're able to use their influence, their power to convince people just by their outward appearance that they are not sexually abusing a child. Now, I can't imagine how hard it is for these two young men to come forward at this time, especially for Wade coming forward and saying, yeah, I know I lied, I'm coming forward now and I'm telling my real story. And he says he wants his truth to be as loud as the lies that he told, because he says anything Michael was doing to him, he didn't think it was bad, because he looked on him as a young child and thought that he would never do anything to harm me. So even when he had those feelings of feeling that something was wrong in what he was doing, he looked on him and knew that, okay, he is not going to do nothing to harm me. Oprah talks about the societal corruption. And yes, there is a societal corruption, and we're seeing it again played out very, very easily in this case and in the Robert Kelly case. What I find disturbing is when people who have no inkling, no kind of understanding of what goes on in a person's heart, a person's household, even relatives, to come forward and start vouching for that person. Paedophiles are very, very good at hiding their destructive nature. They hide it because they don't want people to know their perversion, their disgusting behaviour. They're very good at hiding it. And that is why they're very careful about the victims that they pick to sexually abused. They usually go for those, like in Michael Jackson's case and in Robert Kelly's case, we see it so clearly. The parents are starstruck. They think, oh, you know, this person is great and good because, you know, we've allowed our child to be around him, and, you know, he's not going to harm them because he's a superstar. But this is exactly the type of scenarios that these types of people rely on. And it is a societal corruption, because in 2019 we are still facing the same questions. We are still facing the same accusations, where survivors and victims of sexual abuse cannot even have their voice heard because of the stigma attached to it, because if they come forward later on, they're accused of making it up. Some of these fans out here as well are very, very delusional, I'm sorry to tell you. And Oprah is right, but there is a societal corruption. But at the same time, you have to know that in Hollywood and in many places, high-ranking places where there is power, paedophilia is going on right now. And with the same energy that is being given to this documentary, I hope that the same energy in 2019 is going to be given to those who are sexually abusing children and using their positions in high places to sexually abuse children. I'm going to be watching this documentary because I believe a lot is going to come out. And, you know, as I said on my Facebook post already, 2019 is going to be the year that some of your favourites are going to be getting exposed, whether dead or alive. And, you know, you can't just close your mind off and say these things don't happen. So I'm going to be watching this documentary with an open mind. I'm going to be seeing what both of these young men have got to say. I think that they do deserve that. So I'll leave links to my TED Talk and my books, Choose Life and Daughter Rise, in the description box below. Check them out, and I shall see you on the next video.